finally something is feeling right, somebody can actually tell me what's going on, I start to understand now where I'm coming from, what might have happened, and why I'm now having this reaction, or why I'm feeling this way, why I'm behaving this way. And that's not me. It's basically just trapped survival stress, aka trauma. And suddenly to also understand that you don't have to have a violent childhood, or you don't have to experience war in order to fall into that category, which made it even more difficult for me to understand what was going on, because I had definitely things happening that would probably fall into the category of early trauma or developmental trauma under the age of 2, which back then in the 90s would just be like, well, that just happened, why should that be a problem, you know? And now, knowing the education, I was like, this is where everything started, this is why I, you know, like connecting the dots, XYZ. And I'm just amazed by how simple it is, but yet how effective it is, and also that it's something sustainable where I can always go back to. And every time I do that, I will find a deeper layer and a deeper layer, and will essentially bring me back to my core. I signed up for SBSM for the very first time. It was the 16th round, and all I can say is that I would choose it again. It was good that I invested that money into myself, because I know it is something that will accompany me for probably the rest of my life, and that not only I can benefit from, but also my children, the people I meet in my everyday life, and my relationships. And I unfortunately only found it through being in crisis myself. I already hit rock bottom, and I reached out to like the Western healthcare system to get some support. I felt incredibly misunderstood, also like wrongly diagnosed, and every answer or treatment they would offer just to treat the symptom would just feel so wrong. And I I wouldn't accept that, and I did my own research and eventually landed on Irene's channel, and I binged watched all her videos, and finally I was like, oh my god, I arrived. And as I mentioned, I've been at a crisis where I was really feeling like, if I continue like feeling like this way, I don't know what my life is worth, because this is unbearable. It's just simply so painful and exhausting, and I don't know what to do. And I know there are people that have it far worse than me out there. So I really encourage you, if you are looking for any kind of exit out of your current situation, or even your life, which unfortunately some people do, then I strongly recommend you to open up for the possibility that SBSM could be the kind of help and solution you have been longing for such a long time. And it will not give you an exit, but it will give you an entrance towards yourself. And that might seem frightening, because I think a lot of people are also just afraid to connect with themselves. But once you know the tools, you want to connect with yourself, because it's like suddenly your body is speaking to you. It's like this little friend, or a different part of you, basically, like your mind and your body, and you can really sense these two aspects communicating with each other. And as soon as the body is trusting, more and more will come up, and that's maybe in the beginning even more challenging for some, but for me it was just like, wow, I finally can feel alive. I remember after the first lap, I was walking on the street and I would see my legs. I looked down, I was like, I can actually feel how my legs are touching the ground. I can feel how I'm walking. I'm not only seeing it, it's not only in my mind, I can actually feel it. So I started to notice how disconnected I was for decades that I would feel like a foreign object in a room. But after the exercises, I would suddenly feel like part of the whole, and that was so deeply touching for me. It made me feel almost like in a bliss state, feeling alive, feeling joy. And I would start to feel so much compassion and also appreciation for myself, because I would just now understand how much I was suppressing, or still, because it's a constant work basically. So I really encourage everyone to not wait until you hit rock bottom, until you maybe develop a chronic illness, or until you suffer from like some serious mental health issue, because I truly believe that every human being should do that kind of work, should have the education, the background knowledge, because it will ripple out. It will help for your own well-being, but also your children, your spouse, your colleagues, the people you meet on the street. You will suddenly have such a wider understanding for how we humans operate, and it's truly magical yet just simple science. And I'm very grateful for people like Irene, that they make it accessible for people around the world. If you do not have an SE practitioner in your town, that you can also start with yourself, and you can even work online with somebody, which I also do in addition to SBSM. So I'm just grateful, and I hope it will travel far and wide. So thank you so much for creating that for us.